So what I've just uncovered on my Facebook feed is, of course, direct evidence of the fact that Callum Pryor stalked me online and has been stalking me, I suspect, for many years at this point. Stalked my YouTube channel, watches absolutely everything I put out on YouTube, among a group of other people who I suspect are constantly following my social media for malicious intent, for like trying to uncover anything they can possibly try and use as evidence of malfeasance on my part, or a perversion on my part, or something on my part that is untoward that they can use as a kind of slander or whatever. And this pattern of behaviour has been going on for years and years and years. I've never been charged with any kind of sexual offence. I've never committed any kind of sexual offence that I would consider a sexual offence, or that the police would consider a sexual offence, since I've never been arrested on any charges like that. I've been arrested many times, actually, for violations of the Communications Act, making threats online, for a fray, for the Communications Act violation, by the way, was not child pornography or anything like that. It was sending a malicious email to Nicola Lewis, my father's girlfriend, in which I said that I was glad that her son was dead and he deserved to die and all this sort of thing, which I sort of stand by, frankly. And I said as much in magistrates' court at the time. I did not get put on the sex offenders register. I got a community order for 6 months, and I had to go to a few meetings or something, but I got sectioned again before that time was up, so that kind of fizzled out and came to nothing. But I also did assault my mother, actually. I spat in her eyes. That is something else I've done, which I suppose is violence against a woman. But, you know, that is, well, I think understandable, really, if you consider just how horrifyingly abusive she became to me during the course of my illness, and unsupportive, and not believing anything I had to say about the events at the University of East Anglia, and trying to keep me trapped in this prison of gaslighting and emotional and psychological torment for years and years on end, and downplaying or denying outright the abuse levelled against me by her partner, Rob Painter, who used to call me a thing, a freak of nature, a homo-tolatide, on a near day-to-day basis while I was at that property. And she also stuck up for my father, who had physically assaulted me on numerous occasions, and I do have evidence of him admitting to that after having first lied to my face about it. So I would say, on balance, yeah, I just snapped and spat in my mother's eyes. I was violent towards a woman in a pretty minor sense, really, when it comes down to it. I didn't hit her or anything like that, and it is what it is, really. I don't know if this video is going to keep going, or I don't know if it's going to keep recording. I was expecting it to stop at 3 minutes. I do want to say a bit more about this, really. I've felt so much guilt and shame because of that event. You have no idea. I've been beating myself up about that for years. I think that's the one occasion on which I really did slip up and did something that is kind of like noncing, frankly. And yeah, I would never want to exist in that kind of pattern of behaviour long term. And I do want a relationship with a woman at some point, ideally the woman of my dreams. And yeah, I am committed to making this channel a warts and all expose of myself. I have made a video about this before on Facebook, in which I expressed deep remorse for having done that to her. But then again, on a level, I had to undergo her chucking me out onto the streets, no support. Her carer fucking accusing me of hitting her, which I never did, at the same time. Stacey fucking Steinbach, who, by the way, has committed non-consensual touching towards me on a couple of occasions. And it is one rule for men, I'm sorry to say, and one rule for women. And there's this unfair balance of what they can get away with versus what we can get away with. Nicola Lewis has been allowed to cause all merry hell to break loose, yet nothing has come of it. If it were a man doing it, it probably, I'm sorry to say, yeah, we'd have come down on a man doing this sort of shit, like a ton of fucking bricks. But yeah, women on a level are more powerful than men in terms of what they can get away with very often. And yeah, like there has to be female accountability in addition to male accountability. If you want gender equality, we've got to have at least equality before the law. There's 4% of the women of the prison population of women, 96% of the prison population of men. That seem very likely to you that really men commit so much more crime than women. Like we commit more violent crime, I think, like or more crime that's just obvious. The things like psychological and emotional abuse are very hard to prove. You need sort of like recorded evidence of it, and like it's just the constant bullying of that woman, my mother. I sort of see where Rob Painter was coming from on a level. I do, because she did it to him as well, no doubt, and it was just like taking it out on everyone else around her constantly for years. And yeah, like eventually, like my father hit her, you know, after she was grinding him down for years, I bet, in the run up to a planned divorce to try and take all his assets. I wouldn't be surprised if he did get her put in that fucking wheelchair in an attempt on her life. Like I once speculated about pretty much openly with him. But yeah, I don't think I regret. I have. I'm not a perfect individual. I don't pretend to be either. But as for sexual assault, I've never committed a sex crime, ever. No, I haven't. I've never been charged with anything. I don't know if anyone's reported me for anything, but certainly if they have, nothing has come of it. But you know, it's just like, yeah. I just have to like hedge all this stuff if I'm to like retain credibility or gain any kind of credibility or like bring about the great projects I want to engage in, like this fucking space elevator thing. I have to nip every possible bud that could emerge in the bud before something comes of it in the fucking media, or like, you know, if I have to pay someone off, which I can't do because I have no money. But like I say, like if you think I've ever wronged you on any level, come at me. That's really my attitude towards it. And no, I'm not going to pay you off like Elon Musk did with that horse girl. Who was probably, you know, like had a little towel around him and he had a big old hard on, and she was like, and like, oh, you love horses. I would buy you a horse if you let me have sex with you, and so on. And from then, no, he did fucking have sex with her. He was a hot horse girl, and the horse girl fucked him over. And my mum's a horse girl, and everyone knows they're fucking insane. And, oh God, women are so difficult to deal with for men. They really are. It's a problem, I know. Like, we love women. I would never want to harm a woman ever, but the narcissism, the abuse, the ways in which they treat us very often is just so degrading and callous, mean, manipulative, sniping, really vile very often. Like, my mum is not a good example of womanhood. At her best, she's lovely, but at her best, she's rather severe, deeply authoritarian, rigid in her opinions, delusional really, quite often, refusing to be swayed by evidence, refusing to see my pleas for someone to stick up for me after I'd been spiked and almost fell down a staircase. And I just know if that happened to my sister, the whole family would just cluster behind her and fight for her story. You know what I mean? But if it was me, they would never do that. That's the environment I had to grow up in. And yeah, the culmination of it, I'm sorry to say, was me spitting in my mother's face. So if you've got a problem with that, by the way, on a level, if someone slaps a woman or hits a woman, if someone beats the shit out of a woman and we don't deserve it, they're obviously a nonce. But if they're just snap and hit them, you kind of let them off for that, and I don't think you're really a nonce, let's face it, unless you go to prison for something like that, because it is not a normal courtyard exercise, that's what that means. So it sort of has to be prisonable, if indeed it's, you know what I mean.